恭喜发财，新年快乐, Cin.
Yo, happy Chinese New Year.
That's a very common music that we would hear during this time of the year, just like Christmas music.
Very festive. The moment the first beat drops, you already know what's gonna happen.
The beat drop.
And by the way, 红包拿来.
Yes, give me all your money.
Yeah, so quick Chinese lesson. 红包means red envelope. So since we're in the very happy Chinese New Year festive, I think a few phrases we can probably share with our listener is 新年快乐.
Happy New Year.
Most important is 红包拿来.
Give me the red envelope.
Yeah, the most important thing to never forget. But this is actually a tradition, right? Actually, this red envelope, we don't just ask from anyone. It is a tradition that, according to my knowledge, it is when the younger people, for example, children, they ask from their parents or they ask from senior by giving them good wishes, good blessings, wish them good prosperity, good health, and in return, our elders would give this red envelope as a blessing to the children. So technically, you can ask from anyone who is married.
From my own experiences, I think asking for the red envelope is most appropriate only to how I've been doing it is not towards not relationship wise, but more so in terms of work status. Now that I'm working, my parents don't give me red envelopes anymore, even though when I wish them good prosperity, it will be the opposite way. So as a respect back to the parents, right? As a person who works now, I tend to have to give the red envelopes to people who wish me prosperity. If you, Cin, were to have a child and they wish me prosperity, I would give your child a red envelope.
Yeah, that's true too. And I think that's one of the benefits that maybe if some of you works in a Chinese company, most likely you would get that benefit, which is during Chinese New Year, the bosses would hand out red envelopes to the employees.
The good bosses.
Yeah. Yeah, so apart from this red envelope thing, what else do you do?
So in terms of Chinese New Year in my the way that I celebrate Chinese New Year with my family here in Thailand is not so traditional anymore. I would assume, since I was born and raised in Bangkok, I would assume before this time, my parents back in Taiwan, they would celebrate it in a more traditional sense. But now that we are all here in Thailand together, we usually celebrate it in a way where first and foremost, the most important thing in my family would be to play mahjong together. We love a little gambling in our family. So what we usually do is we would wish each other prosperity, good health, all these things. And we would exchange red envelopes with each other with money inside. And we use this money to gamble while we play mahjong. And we love mahjong so much in our family that we bought a automatic mahjong shuffling machine. That's how much we love mahjong. And we would play hours on end. So sometimes it would span a whole day. I've heard from my mom that her family used to play days, and then they would go to sleep, they would wake up, and then they would play again. And that's all they do during Chinese New Year. And we don't have so much of a holiday during Chinese New Year in Thailand. But in China, I know that Chinese people would celebrate Chinese New Year over a long, expansive time, up to 15 to 20 days. So Chinese New Year is a huge thing for them and a huge holiday for them. So besides mahjong, we would also do this thing called 守岁, which in a direct translation would mean not to go to sleep, I would say. And it's a tradition that my parents growing up would tell us that, it's equivalent to a New Year's Eve, where over the course of the night, if we can stay up past midnight during the New Year's Eve the Lunar New Year's Eve, our parents will live a longer life and can stay with us for a longer period of time. So we've been doing this tradition since I was young. I'm not sure anymore now that I'm older and knowing more that this is an actual thing that is sort of like an actual saying that parents say to their children, or is it just my parents? But now I know that either way, it is a very nice a thing and a very nice tradition that we as a family do together to stay up to count down into a new year. And I believe that this new year is the year of the dragon as well, which is a huge, huge deal for Chinese people because from my knowledge, Dragon Year is a really great year for a lot of people who in Chinese culture to have a son because sons are associated to emperors in the olden days.
Like you mean dragon is associated to emperor?
Yes, like the symbol of a dragon, as well as how if people were to look to have a daughter, it would be a very nice year to have daughters in the year of the rooster because rooster are equivalent to a phoenix. And during the back in like the dynasty times in China, emperors and empresses are depicted as dragons and phoenixes. So for those listeners out there, maybe you would come across people talking about having kids during this year because it is a very special year for people who believe in this sort of symbolism in the Chinese zodiac.
Yeah, for me, first of all, very similar to you that I also basically was raised in Thailand, right? As we grow up from a foreign country, even though Thailand has such a huge influence from the Chinese culture, so it's really nice that we still get to experience the Chinese festival, the essence of it throughout, the whole Bangkok. For example, Chinatown, very festive. If any of you would like to fully experience the Chinese New Year essence, definitely visit Chinatown. There will be a lot of dragon dance, Chinese parade, Chinese food, of course, very red. Yeah, because red is a symbolic color that represents good blessing, I believe. So we'll always wear something really red or something really festive during Chinese New Year. For my family, we don't do much comparing to when we're in China because of the limitation. We'll just go with simple stuff like, of course, the first thing in the morning of Chinese New Year, we would greet our parents, wish them good health, good fortune, and they would, as tradition, give us the red envelope. And then we would just go dining outside. And for my family, because my dad prefers to pay a visit to temple, to give merit, to pray to God, to ask for good health, good fortune, because it is a new year in the Chinese calendar. Similar to how we move on from 2023 to 2024, we wish ourselves to have a new start. So those things like that, just for my family. And we would eat good food. There are several foods that we would choose to eat. For example, the meals that we choose would always have good meaning, good symbolic meaning. For example, dumplings. The shape of dumpling looks like the Chinese goat. I don't know if you guys can visualize what I'm talking about, but the Chinese goat that looks like a boat. So dumpling equals wealth. So we would eat dumplings. We would also eat like apple, because apple in Chinese has this similar meaning as ping an, which is being safe, being peaceful. Even fish, there's a phrase in Chinese saying 年年有余, meaning there will always be something remaining, and we won't be starving. And that becomes a whole gesture, like whatever we eat, we will always have some leftover remaining. Yeah, so that's more or less the Chinese New Year practices that my family do now.
That's so nice to hear about the food that you eat, because that's definitely a huge thing for Chinese people. We love to eat, especially together. My whole family, no matter where we are in the world, during this time, we'll try to find the time to like get together and eat good food together. For those of you who are also looking for good food, because a lot of the Thai people are also associated with like Chinese culture, you'll find a lot of that Chinese influenced Thai food as well during Chinese New Year all over the place, just like what Cin has recommended earlier. Chinatown is a really great example of that. And I've heard that they're expanding a lot of these festivities all over Bangkok as well, and not just around Chinatown. You can be sure to also check out, malls with all the decorations, like Cin said, and, the small shrines and temples that are scattered across Bangkok. You can expect to see a lot of ulong, dancing dragons, and a lot of bien pao, firecrackers, these sort of festivities during this time. And I believe that even around Miguri space in Jaranakon area, I've overheard people around this area talking about how they're trying to also expand upon the concept of a Chinese New Year festival. Besides the good things that we should do in Chinese New Year, Cin, do you have any things that you would warn our listeners what not to do during Chinese New Year?
Well, when it comes to beliefs and tradition, I guess Chinese have a very strong belief in doing certain things on this day and that day, especially in Chinese New Year on such an important day. There will definitely be some taboos, right? Don't do this on Chinese New Year or do this on Chinese New Year. So apart from all the things that we briefly mentioned just now, give good wishes, eat good food that has good symbolic meaning. So there's also a few Chinese New Year taboos that I can share with everyone. There's a belief that says don't wash our hair during Chinese New Year. It may sound like, ew, like why are we being so dirty and all that, right? But according to belief, washing our hairs on Chinese New Year also means it will washes away the good luck.
What if we have bad luck last year? Should we wash our hair?
Well, maybe wash it before Chinese New Year then, and try not to get sweaty so you don't get like a smelly head. Yeah, and there's also other things. For example, no porridge, because porridge in Chinese culture before, I believe, is more related to like poverty, because back then only wealthy family are able to afford rice, and if it's porridge, it's usually like poverty people. Yeah, so
That's a great note. So dumplings, money, gold, eat it.
Yeah.
Porridge, poor, don't eat it.
yeah, I mean, if we want to go with like the whole belief, right, which I mean, nowadays we don't really go with these much traditions anymore, but it's interesting to know that, oh, back then this is what people believe, right, and how they associate this food with all the meanings and stuff. And there's also another thing that I think it's interesting to know, which is no sweeping. So sweeping the floor on Chinese New Year is also about we're sweeping away our wealth. So if we want to clean our house, I believe your family does that too, is there's a specific day that we will do a complete house cleaning to clear away all the old stuff, to let go of all the old, let's call it energy, and then we should all wear new clothes to bring in new stuff, symbolizing everything new, everything good.
And that is before New Year's.
Yeah. So basically do everything you need to do before New Year. And then on that day,
Wash your hair, clean your house, just change everything, the whole wardrobe.
yeah. So on the exact Chinese New Year, have a good positive mood, wish everyone good health, good fortune, and wear festive clothes to make yourself even, happier, and just enjoy the day. So I believe this is a good way to start as well, regardless of how true these all traditions are.
So yeah, to all the listeners, we wish you a very happy Lunar New Year. 恭喜发财，新年快乐. Hope you have an amazing year ahead of you. Lots of riches. Get rich. That's what we all love. And stay healthy, stay happy, and stay you.
Yeah, everything Sony said. And yeah, for me, take this as a chance to remind ourselves that this is really the beginning of a new year. I know we just celebrated the whole universal new year from moving on from 2023 to 2024, and now Chinese New Year as well. So this is another reminder for us that we are really moving on to a new year now. So let's get started doing the things that we've always wanted to do. Let's put ourselves into the most positive position that we can. It could be hard for some people, but let's start step by step and have a great year ahead of us. Happy New Year, everyone.
加油!
Yo!